Yo, what's going on? I'm at Kings Canyon. I came across this little cabin, and the reason I say little cabin is because to give you a visual representation, I am about 5 feet, 14, 15 inches, and this cabin hits my head. So imagine living in a house. It's kind of small, but if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, drop a like, leave a comment. I'll make more videos like this. Go explore the world, G.
Imagine this. You're ready to lay down some incredible vocals, but, you're not in some $1 million studio. Maybe you're at home, you're set up there. Or perhaps a hotel room, even your car sometimes. What if recording professional quality vocals in any of those places isn't just like a pipe dream, but actually a total reality for you?
Oh, it absolutely can be. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're getting into today for you.
Right. Here on the Deep Dive, our mission is always to kind of cut through the noise, bring you the key stuff, the essential insights, and really arm you with the knowledge to make those aha moments happen. So today, we're cracking open Recording Pro Vocals eBook.pdf. It's a step-by-step guide from a seasoned pro known as David the Crook.
Okay. David the Crook.
Yeah. And we're going to pull out the most practical, maybe surprising, and powerful insights from this guide. The goal is empowering you to capture truly amazing vocal takes, well, wherever you happen to find yourself.
And David the Crook's story is pretty interesting. As of 2021, he'd already spent nearly 7 years recording, mixing, mastering, producing, for tons of artists, not just in America, but like internationally. He's literally put his hands on songs all over the globe.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this name a bit. David the Crook. It's not just catchy, right? It comes from a really personal philosophy he has.
Yeah.
Growing up, he apparently realized that if you want something in life, you kind of have to go out and take it. No, not literally stealing, obviously.
Right, not like that.
No, but by seizing opportunities, mastering skills, and just refusing to let limitations hold you back. He genuinely believes everything is out there for the taking, and if you don't grab it, someone else will.
That's quite a mindset.
It is. And that's the kind of empowering vibe we'll see running through his advice.
Yeah, it's a powerful way to look at it, and you can see how that translates directly into how he approaches recording. It's about taking control, definitely, even when things aren't, perfect.
Exactly. And that idea of taking control, it isn't just talk. It starts with something really tangible, your recording environment. David really stresses that before you even think about hitting record, you got to treat your room.
Oh, this is huge.
Yeah.
It's the absolute foundation for a good vocal recording. The main goal is to get what we call a dry vocal.
Dry vocal. Okay.
Which just means you want to capture only the sound of the singer, right? Without any interference from the room itself.
Makes sense.
Because if your room isn't treated, the sound waves from your voice, they bounce off the walls. And that causes phasing issues.
Phasing issues. That sounds bad.
It is. It's basically when the same sound hits your mic at slightly different times and it creates this hollow, kind of weird, unnatural sound. Plus you get all this unwanted background noise mixed in.
Okay, yeah, nobody wants that hollow sound. So how do you get this dry sound? Especially if you're maybe on a budget or doing it yourself.
Well, David suggests acoustic treatment, mainly using sound insulation panels. He actually built his own custom ones.
Oh, really? DIY style.
Yeah, using that common soundproofing insulation like Rockwell Safe and Sound, mounted on simple 2x4 wooden frames, and then just wrapped in some thin, breathable fabric. The key is thin fabric, so sound goes through it to get absorbed.
Right, not bounce off the fabric itself.
Exactly. And if you can't build big wall panels, he also recommends smaller, portable panels you can just place strategically around the mic.
Okay. And why does this work? What's the science bit?
Well, it's pretty simple. These panels absorb the sound energy. They stop the sound from reflecting off hard surfaces like walls or ceilings. Those reflections are what make recordings sound muddy and unprofessional.
Got it. Absorption, not reflection. But what about those situations like David recording that mixtape in an Airbnb? Or maybe you're in a hotel room. You can't exactly start building panels there. How do you handle those really untreated spaces?
Yeah, this is where that Crook mindset kind of kicks in again. For those situations, he's a big fan of the mic eyeball.
The mic eyeball?
Yeah, think of something like the Chaotica eyeball. Or even one of the cheaper knockoff versions you can find.
Okay.
He actually recorded a whole mixtape successfully using one of those in an Airbnb. It basically creates this little localized acoustic bubble right around your microphone.
Huh.
So it gives you a much drier sound, even if the room itself is pretty bad acoustically.
So you're giving your mic its own mini sound booth, basically,
Oh,
on the go. That's pretty clever.
it really is a neat trick.
But, okay, there's got to be a catch, right? A trade-off if your room is still mostly untreated, even with the eyeball.
There is, yeah. If your room isn't properly treated overall, you really must mix only on headphones.
Only headphones. Why?
Because speakers in an untreated room, they'll lie to you. They'll give you a totally inaccurate picture of your sound. All those room reflections will color what you're hearing. You won't really know how your mix actually sounds until you listen in a controlled space. Or you use headphones, which bypass the room's sound entirely.
Okay, that makes total sense. So headphones become essential for mixing if the room's not treated.
Crucial.
So whether it's building panels or grabbing an eyeball, the main takeaway here is David's philosophy in action. Identify the problem, find a solution, take control. Don't let the space limit you.
Exactly. It's about actionable solutions, not just theory.
Okay, so you've tackled the space, you've optimized your acoustic environment as much as possible, you've set the stage. Now let's talk about the tools you'll actually use to capture that sound, the equipment.
Right, the gear itself.
Now that your environment is sorted, let's chat about the tools. Finding the best equipment for you? Well, it depends a lot on your budget, your goals. David breaks it down into two main setups.
He does. The first one is, the basic budget-friendly option, just a USB microphone plugged straight into your computer.
Simple enough.
Super accessible for beginners, and look, it'll get the job done. But you will face limitations in overall quality compared to more professional gear. And you'll probably find yourself doing more work in the mixing stage to get it sounding polished.
All right, more fixing later.
Yeah.
So what's the step up, the professional quality setup that David actually recommends?
Okay, so this involves a few more pieces, but he argues it's totally worth the investment for serious results. First, you need an XLR microphone.
XLR, not USB.
Correct. And he stresses, don't overthink the mic choice too much at the start. Focus on your budget, look for good reviews. He mentions, for instance, that he started with a Rode NT1A for recording rap. That's a really well-respected mic, great value.
Rode NT1A, okay.
Then, obviously, you need an XLR cable to connect the mic. Any decent one will work, and often they come bundled with mics or interfaces anyway.
Right.
Now, crucially, you need an audio interface. This is the vital link between your microphone and your computer. It converts the analog signal from the mic into digital data the computer understands.
A converter box.
Essentially, yeah. He recommends getting a 2-channel interface, even if you only plan to use one mic right now.
Why 2 channels?
Just for future flexibility. Maybe you want to record a friend or an instrument later. It gives you options. He actually mentions he still uses a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 for travel. It's super portable and reliable.
Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Good tip for portability. And then, of course, you need a computer or a laptop.
Yep, with at least 8 GBs of RAM. That's kind of the minimum these days for running your digital audio workstation, your DAW software smoothly.
And don't forget the mic stand. David specifically recommends getting one with a pop filter and also a back shield, sometimes called a reflection filter.
Oh yeah, those are essential for getting pro vocals. The pop filter tames those harsh P and B sound plosives, and the back shield helps keep the recording even drier by blocking reflections from behind the mic.
Makes sense. So mic, cable, interface, computer, stand, pop filter, shield. What else?
Headphones, and this is a really key insight David highlights. You need flat response headphones.
Flat response, meaning
Meaning they don't artificially boost or cut certain frequencies. They give you a neutral, accurate sound. This is absolutely critical for making good decisions during recording and especially mixing.
so not my regular music listening headphones.
Definitely not consumer headphones like, say, Beats by Dre. Those are designed to make music sound good, often boosting bass and treble. That's the opposite of what you need for production. You need to hear the truth of your sound, warts and all, not some flattering version. He uses Status Audio CB1s, mentions Audio-Technica as another solid option.
Okay, flat headphones. Crucial for accuracy.
Got it. So, interestingly, speakers aren't strictly essential just for recording vocals then. Headphones are the must-have.
For recording, yes. Headphones are the necessity. Speakers are more for the mixing stage, and even then, only if your room is treated, as we discussed. Save some money up front if you're just starting with recording.
Good point. Now, once you have all this gear, connecting it properly. This sounds like a small detail, but David flags it as vital for protecting your equipment. Yeah, this is something people often overlook, but it can save you some serious heartache and money. It's about the correct power sequence.
Okay, walk us through it. Powering on.
Right. Sequence is computer or laptop first. Then plug in and power on your USB audio interface. If you have a bigger interface with its own power switch, turn that on next. Then, if you have monitor speakers connected, turn those on after the interface.
Computer interface speakers.
Yes. And only after all that is on and your mic is plugged in, you turn on the plus 48V phantom power button on your interface. But, and this is important, make sure the gain knob for that mic channel is turned all the way down first.
Gain down, then phantom power on.
Okay.
Then you dial the gain up.
Exactly. Then you slowly bring the gain up while the vocalist sings or speaks to get a good, strong signal level without clipping.
That sequence, computer interface speakers, gain down, phantom power on. Why does it matter so much? What's the risk if I just plug things in randomly or unplug the interface first?
It's really about preventing damage. Ignoring the sequence can cause these loud, sudden pops or electrical surges. Those pops can potentially damage the sensitive diaphragm in your microphone or even blow your speakers.
Ouch, expensive mistake.
Very. Especially if you, say, turn off your audio interface before turning off phantom power or your speakers. You can cut the power abruptly, send a nasty spike, potentially overload things. Following the sequence protects your gear. And turning off is just the reverse order.
Okay, what's the OFF sequence?
Lower the mic gain first, then turn off the plus 48V phantom power. Wait a few seconds. Then turn off your speakers. Then turn off your audio interface if it has a switch, or just disconnect it, turn off the computer last.
Gain down, phantom off, speakers off, interface off, disconnect. Got it.
It's a simple habit, but it preserves your investment, ensures your gear lasts longer.
That is a seriously critical safety and longevity tip right there. Protecting your gear is just as important as choosing it. Okay, so you've got the gear, it's connected safely. Let's talk about getting the most out of your software, perfecting your DIW workflow.
Yes, optimizing that digital environment.
Okay, let's dig into this next crucial area, perfecting your DIY workflow. Because, having the right gear is one thing, but knowing how to really optimize your digital audio workstation, your DIW, that's where you unlock performance and efficiency.
Absolutely. And one thing David really points out is how some simple adjustments can make a massive difference. He highlights the I/O buffer size setting.
I/O buffer size. Okay, what's that about?
It's key for managing two things. Latency, that slight delay between when you sing and when you hear it back in your headphones, and your computer's processing power.
Right, latency is super annoying when recording.
Exactly. So for recording, he advises setting that buffer size low, like 64, 128, maybe even lower if your system can handle it, like 32 samples.
Why so low for recording?
Think of it like shifting gears in a car. A low buffer size makes your computer's audio engine really responsive, like being in a low gear for quick acceleration. It processes the audio almost instantly, minimizing that annoying lag so your vocals get captured precisely on time with the beat. If you record with a high buffer, there's a noticeable delay and your timing will be off.
Okay, low buffer, low latency, tight recording. Makes sense.
But then, when you switch gears to mixing, you do the opposite. You increase that buffer size significantly. He suggests maybe 124 or even 2048 samples.
High buffer for mixing. Why?
Because mixing involves using lots of plugins, EQs, compressors, reverbs, which demand a lot of processing power. A higher buffer size is like shifting into a higher gear for cruising. It gives your computer more time to handle all those calculations for each chunk of audio. This prevents clicks, pops, and crashes, making your system stable while you mix.
Ah, so low buffer for responsiveness during recording, high buffer for stability during mixing. That's a fantastic pro tip. Simple toggle, huge impact.
It really is. It avoids out-of-time vocals and frustrating crashes.
Okay, now, another big one. Capturing optimal vocal levels. This seems to be a really common pitfall, right? People recording way too loud.
Oh, constantly, yeah. David advises aiming for the loudest parts of your vocal performance, like the peaks, to not go above NECANIS 9 dBFS on your DIW's meter. And your average level should be somewhere around, say, MENISTA 15 dB to NECTIS 12 dBFS.
Okay, peaks below MEDIC 9, average around -12 to -15. Why do so many people record hotter than that?
Often it's because the beat they're rapping or singing over is just too loud in their headphones. They can't hear themselves properly, so they crank up the mic gain to compensate.
Right, fighting the beat volume.
Exactly. So the solution seems counterintuitive to some, but it's simple. Turn the beat down, especially if you're using like a mastered instrumental track you got from YouTube. Those are often already pushed really loud, maybe hitting 0 dBFS.
So lower the beat. By how much?
He suggests lowering the beat track by about -60 B, so it averages around -60 BFS itself. This instantly creates more space, more headroom for your vocals to sit comfortably without you needing to push the mic gain too high.
Okay, turn down the beat to make room for the vocal. Got it. What's the danger of recording too hot?
Recording too loud leads to irreversible digital distortion, or clipping. Once that waveform hits 0 dBFS and gets chopped off, that audio information is gone forever. It sounds nasty and you can't fix it. Recording at lower levels provides headroom.
Headroom, like space.
Exactly. It's a crucial space for the mixing engineer, or you if you're mixing, to work with later using compression, EQ, saturation, without instantly hitting the ceiling and distorting. It gives flexibility. Ideally, he notes, you want the unmastered or mixed version of a beat if possible, the one without a final limiter squashing its dynamics. That gives you even more room to work.
Okay, lower levels, headroom, flexibility, no clipping. Critical stuff. And to really streamline the whole recording process, David is a big believer in using DAW templates.
Oh yeah, templates are huge for workflow speed. Once you get a setup you like, save it as a template so you don't have to rebuild it every single time you start a new song.
Makes sense. Does he suggest a specific way to set up routing in a template?
He gives a pretty useful example. Send your beat track to its own bus, let's say bus 1. Then send your main vocals to bus 2, your dubs or doubles to bus 3, and your ad-libs to bus 4.
Okay, grouping tracks by type onto buses.
Exactly. Then take all those vocal buses, bus 2, 3, and 4, and route them to another bus, maybe call it all vocals. And finally, route both the beat bus, bus 1, and the all vocals bus to one final submix bus, which then goes to your master output.
Whoa, okay, buses feeding buses?
Yeah.
That sounds a bit complex, but what's the payoff?
Control and efficiency. With this setup, if you want to turn down all the vocals relative to the beat, you just adjust the one all vocals bus fader. You need to turn down the whole song slightly before mastering. Adjust the submix bus. It allows for really quick grouped adjustments instead of fiddling with dozens of individual tracks. Massive time saver.
Ah, I see it now. Group control. That's clever.
And he emphasizes that templates aren't set in stone. You should constantly tweak and improve yours as your workflow evolves. Find what works best for you.
One more key piece of advice here. Yeah.
He strongly advises against mixing and mastering in the same project file or session.
Really? Why separate them?
2 main reasons. First, CPU power. Mixing sessions can get heavy with plugins. Adding mastering plugins on top can easily overload your computer and cause crashes. Separating them keeps things lighter. Second, mindset. Mixing and mastering are different disciplines requiring different listening approaches. Keeping them separate helps you focus properly on each stage without distraction. It's a pro move for stability and better results.
Separate sections for mixing and mastering. Got it. That's some solid workflow advice. Now let's shift focus a bit to something maybe less technical, but arguably even more important.
The performance itself.
Exactly. Capturing the emotion.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, so let's talk about what might be the single most important and maybe the most overlooked step in this whole process. Actually capturing the emotion in the vocals.
David is really insistent on this. He highlights that the artist's performance, the feeling, the emotion they convey, that is absolutely paramount. It's truly what separates a professional, captivating recording from just, an okay amateur one.
Right. All the gear and technique doesn't matter if the performance is flat.
Exactly. An engineer, no matter how good, can polish and enhance a vocal, but they cannot create emotion if it's simply not there in the original recording. It has to come from the artist.
He talks about the importance of confidence,
Yeah.
right? And just pure expression. Whether you're trying to convey sadness or excitement or anger, if the artist is holding back, if they're shy or nervous, you hear that. It translates directly into the song.
Totally. And as an engineer himself, he says he wants to work on a song that excites him, that moves him. And that excitement really has to start with a powerful, committed performance from the artist.
Which brings up an interesting point about collaboration and feedback.
Yeah, he strongly encourages artists. Ask for honest feedback. Don't just seek praise. Ask your engineer, ask your producer for real, non-sugar-coated opinions. They often hear things you might miss because you're too close to it. They have the experience to guide you towards improvement.
And it benefits the engineer too, right?
Absolutely. From the engineer's perspective, they want the song to be great. A strong performance is the best possible starting point for them to build upon. It makes their job easier and more rewarding.
It's a reminder that music really is often a team sport, even for solo artists working with engineers. Now, beyond just the emotional delivery, David offers some really specific, practical mic setup tips that directly help capture that great performance cleanly.
He does. First off, thinking about where you place the mic within the room is crucial, even in a treated space. He says avoid putting the mic right in the corners or dead center in a perfectly square room.
Why avoid corners and the center?
Those are often bad spots acoustically. Corners can cause bass frequencies to build up unnaturally. The exact center can sometimes create weird standing waves or reflections. Placing the mic slightly off-center usually gives a more balanced sound, minimizing those issues that can muddy the vocal. Remember, the goal is always that nice, clean, dry vocal.
Okay, avoid corners and dead center.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, what about those really sharp S sounds?
Oh.
Sibilants. That can be so annoying.
Yeah. He has a really simple but effective trick for that. Try turning the microphone itself about 15 degrees off axis, so slightly to the left or right of the vocalist's mouth.
Just turn the mic slightly. That's it. I never would have thought of that. What does that do?
It's subtle but often effective. That harsh scissor sound tends to project straight forward. By turning the mic slightly, you're capturing the main vocal tone clearly, but the direct blast of the sibilants hits the mic capsule at a slight angle, reducing its intensity without really compromising the overall quality of the vocal take.
Huh. That's a neat trick. Worth trying. And he also gives a really specific method for pop filter placement and distance from the mic using your hand.
Yeah, it's a great visual guide. He says the pop filter itself should be about 3 inches away from the microphone grill.
3 inches mic to filter.
Okay. Then, to gauge how far your mouth should be, place the palm of your hand flat against your chin with your thumb pointing upwards along your jawline. The tips of your extended fingers should then just about touch the pop filter.
Palm on chin, thumb up, fingertips touch the filter. So that puts your mouth
About 6 inches away from the pop filter itself. So it's roughly 3 inches mic to filter, and then another 6 inches filter to mouth. Total of about 9 inches from mouth to mic.
Okay, that's a really practical way to visualize it.
Yeah.
Why is maintaining that specific distance so important?
It's about consistency and avoiding problems. If you get too close to the mic, like right up on the pop filter, your recording will likely be too loud. You'll get more plosive pops even with the filter, and you might trigger the proximity effect and unnatural boost in bass frequencies.
Right, that boomy sound.
Exactly. But if you're too far away, your vocal level will be too low. This means you'll have to turn the gain up more, which increases the noise floor, and you'll capture more of the room sound, more reflections, less of that desired dry signal.
So that 6-inch distance from the filter is kind of the sweet spot.
It's a great starting point, yeah. It helps ensure clarity, optimal levels, minimal plosives, and proximity effect, contributing significantly to that clean, dry, professional vocal sound David keeps emphasizing. It shows how even these small physical setup details are crucial for supporting that powerful emotional performance you're trying to capture.
Precision matters. Okay, so you've captured that amazing performance, you followed the setup tips. Now we move into what David calls the crucial pre-mixing stage. He flags this as something that's often overlooked, maybe skipped, but it's absolutely vital before the real mixing begins.
Yeah, this is such an important, often unsung part of the process. Doing good pre-mixing lays the groundwork and significantly impacts the final quality of the song. It also makes the actual mixing process way more efficient for whoever is doing it.
It's like prepping your ingredients before you start cooking the main dish.
That's a perfect analogy. Exactly. You're preparing the canvas before you start painting the masterpiece.
Okay, so what are the key steps involved in this pre-mixing stage? What does it actually entail?
First up is something called vocal comping. Comping is short for compiling or compositing.
Comping, okay.
This is where you listen through all your different takes, your main vocal takes, any doubles or dubs you recorded, your ad-libs, and you meticulously select the best parts from each take. Maybe you liked the first half of verse 1 from take 2, but the second half from take 3 was better. You cut and paste those best bits together to create one ultimate, flawless performance track.
Building the perfect take from all the pieces, like a vocal highlight reel.
Precisely. You want it to sound seamless, like it was all one amazing take.
Makes sense. What's next after comping?
Cleaning up. This is essential. You go through your comped vocal tracks and cut out all the silent gaps, the dead space between phrases.
Get rid of the silence.
Yeah. And also deal with breaths. You either cut the breaths out completely if they're distracting, or more often you just lower their volume significantly so they sound natural but aren't intrusive. You basically want to remove any sonic clutter, lip smacks, coughs, background noises, leaving only the essential, impactful sounds of the
Okay,
performance.
decluttering the tracks, just the good stuff left.
Exactly. And while you're cleaning, you should also start creating space and width. This typically involves panning some of your vocal elements.
Landing, moving sounds left or right.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll usually keep the main lead vocal centered, but you might pan your double tracks slightly left and right, or pan your ad-libs out wider. This starts to build a sense of dimension and depth in the mix even before you add effects. It prepares it for a more dynamic final sound.
Okay, comping, cleaning, panning. Starting to shape it. Now here's where it gets interesting for maybe the DIY artist. David actually suggests doing some rough shaping with EQ and compression during premix.
Yeah, this is a great tip, especially if you're mixing it yourself or just to get a better vibe before sending it off. It helps you start hearing the vocal in a more finished context. He suggests adding a quick EQ.
Like what kind of EQ moves?
For example, maybe a high-pass filter to cut out low-end rumble around 100 hertz or so, then maybe dip a little bit around 400, 600 hertz if the vocal sounds boxy or muddy. And often, a gentle boost to the high frequencies, maybe around 5 dB or so, can add some clarity and air, just rough strokes.
Okay, basic cleanup and clarity EQ. And compression too.
Yeah, just a touch of compression. Something simple like the Waves RVox plugin, or even just a stock compressor that comes with your DAW. Aim for maybe 3 dB of gain reduction on the loudest peaks, and then add back some makeup gain. This just helps even out the performance a little and brings the vocal forward, making it cut through the beat more easily.
So not full-on mixing, but just some initial shaping to balance things out.
Exactly. It helps you start to feel the vocal in the track. And one more really important cleanup step.
What's that?
Applying fades. You need to put tiny fade-ins at the very beginning of every single audio clip and tiny fade-outs at the very end of every clip, especially where you've made cuts or where clips might overlap slightly.
The fades.
This eliminates any potential clicks or pops that can happen at the start or end of an audio region, especially after cutting things up during comping. It ensures really smooth, clean transitions between phrases and edits. It's a small detail that makes a big difference in professionalism.
Wow, okay. Fades on everything. I can see how all this pre-mixing work adds up.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, though, that maybe some artists struggle to appreciate their raw, dry vocals right after recording. They might sound a bit underwhelming.
Oh, they often do. Vocals without any effects can sound quite bare. But David explains that this pre-mixing stage is where the artist starts to actually feel the song coming together. Once things are cleaned up, tightened, maybe panned a bit, and have that rush shaping, it starts to sound more like a record, and that builds excitement for the final mix.
Yeah, bridges the gap between raw recording and final product.
And from the mixing engineer's perspective, a well-premixed project is like receiving a gift. It saves them hours of tedious cleanup work. They can dive straight into the creative part of mixing, rather than spending half their time fixing breaths and clicks.
So putting in the pre-mix effort ultimately leads to a better final product because the engineer has more time and energy for the creative stuff.
Absolutely. It's a total win-win. It shows respect for the process and for the engineer's time.
Okay, crucial stuff, that pre-mixing. So you've recorded, you've meticulously pre-mixed, now it's decision time.
Yeah.
Either you mix the song yourself or you send it off to a mixing engineer. This brings us neatly to the final stage David covers, exporting and sending like a professional.
Indeed. You've done all the hard work getting clean tracks. Now you need to hand them off properly. As you said, 2 main paths. Mix it yourself or send it out.
Now, if you are sending it to an engineer, and maybe you both happen to use the same DW software, like Logic Pro or Pro Tools, David says sending the entire project file itself is often preferred. Why is that the ideal scenario?
It's mainly about preserving everything exactly as you left it. The project file contains all your edits, your comping decisions, track arrangements, maybe even rough volume levels or panning you did in the premix. When the engineer opens that file, everything is already perfectly in place, tempo synced, named. It saves them a ton of setup time and avoids any potential confusion about where things go.
Okay, so project file is easiest if you share the same DAW, but let's be real, that's not always the case, right? More often, especially sending to an external engineer, DAWs will differ.
Exactly. Or sometimes engineers just prefer to receive stems regardless. So in that common scenario, you'll need to export individual audio stems or tracks.
Stems. Okay, what's the absolute crucial first step before you export those stems? David mentions bouncing in place.
Yes. Before you export, you need to consolidate each track into a single continuous audio file. So all those little edited pieces that make up your comped-led vocal track, you need to bounce or render or consolidate them, different DAWs use different terms, into one solid audio file for that track. Same for your background vocal track, your ad-lib track, etc.
So one file per instrument or vocal part, essentially.
Right, it makes it much easier for the engineer to just drag and drop them into their session.
And here's a really big one he stresses. No plugins active when you bounce or export these stems, correct?
Absolutely critical. 0 plugins active on the individual tracks you are exporting as stems, no EQ, no compression, no reverb, nothing.
Why is that so important? You might have done that rough shaping and premix.
You turn those off before bouncing the stems for the engineer? The whole point of sending stems is to give the mixing engineer the raw, dry, clean recordings so they have maximum flexibility to apply their own processing and make the best mixing decisions. If you send stems with effects already baked in, you tie their hands. They might not like the EQ you chose, or the compression might fight with what they want to do. It can actually harm the potential of the final mix.
Okay, so bounce in place first, then make absolutely sure all plugins are bypassed or removed before exporting the stems. Raw and dry is the goal.
Precisely, give them a clean canvas.
All right, canvas prepped. What are the specific export settings David recommends for these stems to ensure everything lines up perfectly for the engineer?
Okay, key settings when you go to export. First, the range or length. You want to select the option that says something like extend file length to project end or export from session start to end.
Why make them all the same length?
This is super important. It means every single stem file will start at the exact same point, bar 1, beat 1, and end at the exact same point, the end of the song. When the engineer drags all these files into their DAW, they will automatically line up perfectly in time, no guesswork needed. Huge time saver for them.
Ah, brilliant. Automatic alignment. Okay, what else? Format.
Format should always be WAV or wavy. That's the standard uncompressed high-quality audio format.
Not MP3.
Definitely not MP3 for sending stems. WA for quality. Then bit depth should be 24-bit. That's the professional standard, offering good dynamic range.
24-bit WAV.
Got it.
What about normalize?
Set normalize to off, or if that's not an option, choose something like overload protection only. You definitely don't want to normalize each track individually, as that would mess up the relative volume balance you achieve during recording and premixing.
Okay, normalize off. Anything else? Volume pan automation.
Optionally, yes. Most DAWs allow you to choose whether to include any volume or pan automation you might have written during premix. If you did some careful panning or level adjustments you want the engineer to reference, you can choose to include it. Otherwise, leave it off for maximum flexibility for them.
Okay, so extend length to project end, WAV, 24-bit, normalize off, optional automation. That's the checklist.
That's the checklist for perfect stems.
And finally, once you have all these perfectly exported stem files, how should you organize and send them?
Simple best practice. Create a new folder on your computer. Name it clearly, something like artist name, song name, BPM, stems. Put all the exported WAV feed files into that folder.
Keep it organized.
Exactly. Then right-click on that folder and choose Compress, or Send to Compressed Zipped folder. This creates a single .zip file containing all your stems. It makes the upload and download process much easier and faster. Then you just send that one zip file to your engineer via WeTransfer, Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever you prefer.
Zip it up, send it off, clean and tidy. The payoff for all this careful preparation, it seems significant.
Oh, it really is. It goes right back to that Crook mentality. David talks about doing everything within your power to optimize the process, to take control of the quality.
How so?
Because meticulously prepared and organized stems save the mixing engineer, as David puts it, the headache of labeling, pre-mixing, finding where things go. When an engineer receives a project like that, they appreciate the professionalism immediately. They can get straight to the creative work of mixing, which ultimately leads to a better-sounding final song for you.
So being professional in your preparation actually helps you get a better result in the end.
Without a doubt. It sets the stage for success at every single step. It's about being a pro from start to finish.
Wow, okay. What a journey we've been on here, from getting your recording environment right, selecting the best gear for you, optimizing that debut workflow.
Right, and capturing that raw emotion in the performance.
Doing those absolutely crucial pre-mix steps, and then finally exporting and sending everything off like a true professional. I mean, after all this, you really are armed with the knowledge to record professional quality vocals pretty much anywhere.
It really is a complete roadmap, isn't it? David the Crook's whole approach, from his backstory to all these incredibly practical tips, It just keeps reinforcing that core idea. You have the power, you really do, to create professional results, no matter where you're starting from.
So here's something to chew on, a final provocative thought for you listening. David the Crook's story, his whole philosophy. It's not just about making music, is it?
No, it feels bigger than that.
It's about a mindset, this idea of taking what you want, again, not literally, but through developing skills, through preparation, through sheer persistence, and finding solutions. So the question is, how might applying this Crook mentality, this approach of seizing opportunities and overcoming those perceived limitations, how might that translate from music production into other areas of your life? Maybe your learning, your career, other creative projects?
Hmm, that's a powerful thought. It's really a lesson in self-reliance, isn't it? And creative problem solving in any field. The world of high-quality vocal recording, though, it's definitely now at your fingertips.
Absolutely. So go put these techniques into practice. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, get recording. Catch you next time.